As John said, I'm speaking on behalf of Violet and Peter, who can't be here due to ill health, and I'm sure at the moment Peter is crying his eyes out. And Jack and Mary, who have passed on, and for myself. Stella was my best friend, as well as my big sister. She was the sweetest and gentlest of people. Nor was she afraid of hard work, being Mum's helper and our second mum when Dad died. She earned the nickname from us, Martha, as she was always washing up or whisking a broom. And I might add, she made a beaut sponge cake. Stella was very popular at school, being a very bright student who, not knowing any English when she went to school, learnt by repeating every word her teacher said, much to the dismay of Miss Brown. She also excelled in sport. She'd tuck her head in and off she'd run like a hare. And in the last years of school, she was not only the Ducks, but the last year she carried the flag for the marching squad and led us to victory at our inter-school yearly sports competition. During the war, I might add too, she was a bit of a girl. Nell Creasy could tell you all about that, couldn't you, Nell? Yeah. And they used to sneak downtown, put a bit of lippy on, because their parents didn't like 16-year-old girls wearing lipstick. It was just not done then. During the war, she met and fell in love with a handsome young soldier and corresponded a lot, and eventually after the war in 1946, Steve and Stella were married, and Violet, Mary and I were their bridesmaids. Years later, Stella was matron of honour at my wedding. I might add that as Steve and Stella were drawing out of Sydney on the train, going to Brisbane for their honeymoon, Pop Comino was running down the platform. Steve, a minute, I've got to tell you something. Too late, Dad, now. Steve thought he was going to give him the facts of life. When Steve and Stella and family lived in Sydney, when we lived in Sydney as well, we visited each other often, and it was a great wrench to see them go when they left to live in Elliot Heads. It was at this time Stella was diagnosed with bowel cancer, but thank God, Stella was a fighter, and we had her for many years after that big fright. We had many wonderful holidays up at Elliot Heads, and can still see Stella making homemade ice cream and eating a fair bit of it as well. And Steve showing the kids how to make jewellery and how to shoot those rotten cane toads. The last 14 years have seen Stella's light fade as dementia set in. I would visit her at the nursing home, and her face would have a look of bliss with each bit of ice cream or chocolate I'd pop into her willing mouth. Stella was loyal and brave and kind-hearted to a fault, and best of all, we could proudly call her a sister.